We are fast approaching the midpoint of the 2025 F1 season and the tension is rising. Along with the altitude this weekend, F1 finds itself nestled in the heart of Austria's rolling mountains, and there is no doubt that this is one of the most breathtaking backdrops on the calendar. But don't let its good looks fool you. This track has seen some of the closest battles in recent years. McLaren currently lead the team's championship, but after both drivers collided in Canada, Max Verstappen, the king of the Red Bull Ring, edges closer. It's George Russell who took the hat-trick in Montreal and moves up to second for Mercedes, but leaves Ferrari in third, looking for questions to be answered. Hello and welcome to the 2025 Austrian Grand Prix. This is your weekend warm-up, and I'm delighted to say that joining me now, we have a hat trick of experts. Alex Brundle, Davide Valsecchi, and Lawrence Barretto. Guys, welcome. We're all smiling. We love being in Austria. It is a track that just provides all the ingredients to put the fans smiling, to get the drivers facing so many challenges. But there's history here as well. We've been racing since 1970, Davide. What's so special about it?
And always a good fun also, because the races are unbelievable. In the recent year, there been the battle between Hamilton and Rosberg that was quite epic. Last year, the battle between Verstappen and Norris that probably decided a part of the championship for Verstappen up there in turn 3 and downhill in turn 4 was magical. So probably is the layout, probably is the type of corner, all fast corner. But the result is always a good fun for us to watch. Great battle for the driver in the race.
Absolutely. Lawrence, why do you love it so much?
I love the fans here. They always pack out the joint. Most of them are Dutch Max Verstappen fans, but they make so much noise on that race morning when they're so excited about what lies ahead and those exciting moments that Davide mentioned. But actually, this circuit is perfect for viewing. It's like a natural amphitheatre. You can see 70–80% of the track from most of the places that you stood there, and you might be lucky enough to stand at the building up the top there, and you probably see the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a short track, isn't it? Shortest of the year by lap time, but a great place to generate action. You've got 3 DRS zones around here, and then the long straights into the big stops, in theory, on paper, is what you need for those overtakes to happen.
Yeah, it might be a short track, but there is going to be plenty of action, that's for sure. My favourite has to be turn 1. All of that undulation is just incredible. Now, before we unpick some of the action that we saw in Canada, here is a reminder of how it all went down.
Welcome to the Canadian Grand Prix. 8 metres between George Russell and Max Verstappen. Sign me up. The Canadian Grand Prix is underway. Antonelli roars on by. Flat to the floor, cars everywhere. Russell is starting to edge away. Lando Norris coming into the pit lane. Do anything about his rival for the title.
We need one of those amazing races from you here.
I'm holding my breath on this one. Oh, he's giving it everything.
The pack on skill one, it doesn't have DRS.
To the inside, Lando Norris. No, he's ripped off the front wing. The McLarens collide.
Oh my bad, stupid for me.
George Russell wins the Canadian Grand Prix.
Well done, Jake, well done. Congrats, Kimmy.
Oh my God, thank you guys.
What a day for Mercedes.
Well, there really was plenty of drama, but a superb weekend for Mercedes. A hat-trick, fastest lap pole position, and a win for George Russell. And of course, making history with Antonelli on the podium, the 3rd youngest driver in history to stand in that position. Lawrence, why was it that Mercedes just put everything into practice? Their performance was right on point.
I think it was the perfect combination of 3 factors. It was a track where they have done well at. You know, George ran really well here, taking pole there last year. The conditions were much cooler. I know a little bit hotter on that race day, but still generally quite cool. And they had a new rear suspension, and I think when those factors all kind of worked together, and George's driving, to be fair, that lap that he put together in pole was astonishing. and then the performance that he delivered on the race day. So I think together it was the kind of the full package, and that's what kind of got them out of the reaches of the McLaren team that have been so dominant.
Yeah, and then Antonelli. I mean, Kimi Antonelli, bless him. I think after his podium finish, he then had to return to school to complete his exams, which he passed. So he's obviously a very intelligent on and off the track, but it was remarkable. There's been a lot of anticipation over his performance, and now we have started to see this driver shine, Davide.
He's approaching the season very well, and then he's so humble. In the race, he's so mature. He's never loud at the radio with this team. I mean, he's doing everything perfect. He's not matching yet the performance of Russell, but he's getting closer every race. He's doing experience, and now we come back to Europe. So places where he's been and where he raced before, so it can be a little advantage for him. He's surprising me, surprising everyone, and good choice and good call for Toto Wolff. He picked it up, he was so young, and now seems he's paying back with the result. So, well done. Incredible for me.
So what are our expectations, Alex, coming into this race weekend? Because a track with very different characteristics, also the conditions, it's going to be a lot hotter as well. It's not necessarily going to play to the Mercedes car.
It's a Mercedes we've seen generally more competitive since the big raft of upgrades they bought in Spain. They've already mentioned that the fact there are no real fast corners in Canada benefited the car. Here, they expect their rivals to be more competitive, but I think a lot will depend on the temperature. We know they're still struggling to manage the tyre in the warmer temperatures. If it's like it is now, a little bit cooler, then it'll benefit them, but if it's super warm, they might struggle more.
Yeah, and let's not forget, of course, George Russell won here last year. But despite all of that and all the effort that George Russell is putting in, he still has an unsigned contract with the Mercedes. What's going on there, Lawrence? I mean, how does that make you feel as a driver, knowing that your boss isn't willing to sign your contract?
Well, he got a bit giggly, actually, when I asked him about it, and he doesn't have an answer. I think he said, basically, ask my boss, because he hasn't kind of come over with the paperwork. He really wants something to sign. I think this was the first time that I saw in the recent weeks that George is maybe a little bit worried about what his future holds.
I mean, it must be hard, right, coming into a race weekend knowing. I think he said that if no driver was signed, everyone would want Max Verstappen. That's basically saying that he knows his boss wants Max Verstappen.
I think as long as Max Verstappen doesn't say that he's fully committed to Red Bull, even though his contract runs to 2028, and let's be clear, he didn't do that today in the press conference. Until he does that, I think George will probably feel a little bit uncomfortable. Well, obviously, until he gets the paperwork too. It must be difficult for him as well, because he just won that race in Canada. The performances he's delivering are so strong, and yet that isn't enough still to get a contract.
And that's all he can do at the moment, because there's very limited. There are very few other ways George can generate leverage. Where else is he going to go? You know, it's not going to work alongside Verstappen at Red Bull. Ferrari close shop, McLaren close shop, and beyond that, you're looking backwards down the field.
Okay, well, hopefully that contract will get signed soon. But it wasn't just Mercedes that hit the headlines after Canada. In fact, it really was McLaren. Huge moment on track in the latter stages of the race between the teammates. The golden rule: never hit your teammate. Talk us through what happened, Alex.
Yeah, well, we're coming down towards turn one, of course. Lando Norris, it's relatively well documented to the inside here and effectively runs into the back of Oscar Piastri. He owns up immediately on the radio. And it's really interesting here, a look into the mind of the driver, because it was so topical after Barcelona, where the team and the drivers were being asked if this championship battle between the two of them was going to boil over at some point. And you've got to think, as they raced hard out of that chicane and then down towards turn one, whether that was sitting in the mind of Lando Norris. The way they made contact and the way he immediately apologised, whether he sort of manifested that moment slightly in the car.
Well, hopefully this weekend he can manifest to be on the top step of the podium. Obviously a big moment there, but the fact that he did take responsibility means that hopefully there is good blood between teammates and that team principal. In fact, let's hear from Oscar Piastri now, reflecting on that moment.
How was the post-race debrief?
It was fine. Half of it was on the way to the steward's room, so that was fun. But no, all good. You know, we spoke about it honestly before we even got back to the team. You know, Lando put his hands up and apologised. So no, all good, and looking forward to going racing again.
Look, just one final point on this. Any changes going forward to the papaya rules that we've spoken about in the past?
Nope, same as always. Obviously what happened in Canada wasn't ideal, but we're still free to race, still fighting for a championship each. So no, keep going racing and make sure that obviously we don't come into contact again.
Oh, love it. As cool and calm as always, Mr. Oscar Piastri. But is this going to change the dynamics within the team, Lawrence?
I think if you ask Oscar, he'll probably say no, and if anything, he'll probably got more confidence coming out of it because he probably feels like maybe Lando was just pushing it a little bit too far in that moment when they went up against each other. On the other side of it, I think Lando's probably gone, well, actually, you know, Oscar, that I'm going to leave my front wing in there, and you know that you can't, I'm always not going to always back out of it. So I think that's another thing, a shot across Oscar's bow. So it will be interesting to see how they play out going forward.
Yeah, indeed. Now, unless you have been living under a rock for the last couple of weeks, you will have heard about F1 the movie. It has been absolutely incredible. The response has been amazing, but I don't want to do a review of the film because you need to go and see it. I want to talk about the fact that Brad Pitt got the opportunity to drive the 2023 McLaren car at COTA. I mean, what a lucky boy. A thank you for being in one of the coolest movies ever. Did he really need a thank you? But he did say, I think his ambition was to hit 200 miles an hour. 197, Brad. He's not going to make it, is he?
It's a bumpy back straight, isn't it? A COTA as well, so it would have felt all of that down towards turn 12.
But a very special moment for Brad indeed. And he did deliver it back in one piece, which I think they were very relieved about. Now, this weekend, we are going to have one of the drivers stepping into FP1 in the McLaren team. There is a new rule this season that for each seat, you have to have 2 FP sessions with a rookie in place. So we've got Alex Dunn stepping in for Lando Norris. How is that going to make Lando feel, given the fact that he obviously had that big crash last time out and now he's also not doing the first session?
Well, he obviously loses a little bit of time and the confidence that goes along with that. It's a relatively simple layout here that he'll know very well, of course, that he's done well at in the past. So I don't think it'll bother him too much in the grand scheme of things. The bigger challenge, I think, is for Alex Dunn. In the hunt in the Formula 2 Championship, has to jump between the extremely fast, downforce-laden Formula 1 car and then, of course, go 10 seconds a lap slower in Formula 2 for qualifying, which has challenged drivers in the past.
Yeah, indeed. Well, let's take a look now at the pole lap from last year with Max Verstappen.
Yeah, 4.3 kilometres then of Red Bull Ring. Max Verstappen on pole last year. These final 2 corners, important to set the lap up. And then it is the very same speed they do down towards the first corner that they do up to the top of the hill. You've got to pick a speed and get off the brakes through that first corner. Check out how Max Verstappen stays wide of that curb. It was a big factor, the curb riding of the Red Bull at this stage of the season last year. 325 kilometres per hour becomes 65 kilometres per hour over the difficult apex of what is turn 3 up there. Difficulty with the diff as well through the middle of the corner makes the rear of the car jump and makes it difficult to get on the throttle. It's a downhill braking zone for the 100 kilometre per hour apex of turn 4, and you've got to use all the road on the outside into the middle sector now with 2 left-hand sweepers. Late turn in for turn 6, and then it is a slightly earlier turn in for turn 7. Turn 8, the right-hander on the exit, absolutely flat out. Down towards the challenging final sector, the fastest corner on the lap. Look at that, just under 300 kilometres per hour on the turn in. Got to be super accurate with those new track limits gravel strips through the exit there to catch drivers out in qualifying.
Brilliant stuff there. Thank you, Alex. An absolutely beautiful lap. Of course, Max has such an incredible record here. 5 wins, 5 poles and 8 podiums. Let's hear his thoughts ahead of this weekend.
I mean, we'll always, of course, try to do our best. In the past, yes, we've had a lot of great races here. I mean, some, I think, back then were also unexpected wins. So in a way, maybe, we come into this weekend again, a bit, I mean, not as favorites for sure, but I know that myself and the team will always try to optimize everything that we can. It looks like quite a warm weekend as well, so it's going to be tough to make the tires last anyway. But I'm excited. I'm here to do the best I can, and of course I hope to be on the podium.
You talk about optimization. You've got some new parts on the car here in Austria. What are you expecting from them?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it gives us a bit more performance. The team has been working hard to get these parts. So, of course, I'm very happy that we have an upgrade here. And every little bit, forward will help us be more competitive and hopefully close the gap a little bit. But at the same time, we also know that others are also bringing bits throughout the year. So, we just need to keep working hard, keep trying to close that gap down.
Yeah, absolutely. Always trying to close the gap. There is Max Verstappen. And also a reminder, obviously, he still has those 11 penalty points on his licence. I mean, Max Verstappen, is he going to play it safe? Is that a silly question? Does he ever play it safe?
It's not easy to manage your temper in a truck like this one. The layout brings you to attack and force you to be aggressive in brakes and in the fight with the others. I hope he's going to manage the situation. Also because I think he's going to be one of the men that he can score pole position and fight for the victory. And it's not easy to manage yourself and stay calm when you're fighting for everything. We'll see. I hope for him.
And on the subject of penalty points, only this morning the FIA released some guidelines which kind of helps explain how stewards go about making their decisions. Now, apparently these documents have existed for several years now. George Russell couldn't believe in the TV pen when journalists were asking him, what, you didn't know that these documents exist? So they're in the public domain now, and it kind of helps give a breakdown of an understanding of why the stewards might give a certain number of penalty points for a certain infringement. So hopefully going forward, fans and us will get a bit more clarity as to why stewards are making certain decisions.
Yeah, really, really important to have that transparency. And if you are looking for a new book, you've got something to read tonight. Alex, let's talk about the expectations for Max coming into it. I mean, he's 21 points off Lando Norris, P3 in the championship standings at the moment. Massively, obviously, capitalised last time out. And then this is a track where he's just got so much history.
Yeah, I think it's 5 Grand Prix wins here for Verstappen. We're hearing from Helmut Marko they're expecting to bring upgrades to that Red Bull this weekend, and much will depend on whether those upgrades are beneficial for Max or not. We're also hearing that they're on Max's car only. And in the same interview, it was a good interview with Helmut Marko, that this might well be their last roll of the dice in terms of meaningful developments on that car. In terms of the Red Bull, there are certain areas of this racetrack which highlight issues with it, the slow speed turning, the curbing that we saw last year. This is going to be a telling track for Max, where he's been so strong in the past. Can they put the car underneath him this weekend is going to be the first chapter of the story of the second part of the season. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that car runs. Make sure you join us for the first session tomorrow at FP1. Lawrence, let's talk about Cadillac, because there's been some news at the moment about who is potentially joining the team next season.
Yeah, it's slowly bubbling along as to which drivers they're going to have in the car, and they've got to kind of decide within the next few weeks, because obviously 6 months to go and the new season will be upon us. Valtteri Bottas, Sergio Perez in the mix. They want experienced drivers by the looks of it. And at the minute, what the board is trying to understand is whether or not they want to bring one on straight away, see how they get on, and then bring the other one on, or whether or not one experienced driver is actually enough, and then they can bring someone like a Felipe Drugovich in and maybe let youth help them. So it'll be interesting to see. I understand that GM and the team bosses at Cadillac are going to come to Silverstone, and they're going to have discussions with the management of both Bottas and Perez to try and move this along. But at the moment, they are the two favourites. And while we're talking about familiar faces, Sebastian Vettel was in the news this week. No, not to get a seat at Cadillac, but
got me all excited.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be incredible, wouldn't it? But he's been talking to Helmut Marko, and there's been some talk, it seems, that he's considering a return to Formula One in that role, in Marko's role as motorsport advisor. Now, obviously, Marko's not planning on going anywhere anytime soon, so we might be a little bit way off that. But I think it's interesting that Sebastian's maybe dipping his toe back in properly for the first time to see whether or not there is something to go in there. And they are good friends, so I wouldn't put it past them that they are kind of planning something for the future.
Ooh, plotting away. Thank you for that insight there, Lawrence. Really interesting stuff. Let's have a quick word on Ferrari. One of the big four that have not had a win this season. They're bringing floor upgrades. Is this weekend the weekend for them?
Yeah, probably yes. Come on.
Go for it.
Alex,
Come on.
tell him. Tell him.
Davide, you're desperate, aren't
Davide
you?
believes.
It's going to happen.
Has to be, because we could hear the frustration of Leclerc during the race in Canada, where he was extremely competitive. He had the huge mistake on Friday. He had the mistake in quali. He was in the pack and with the different strategy on Sunday, and he didn't get the result. So he was frustrated at the radio, but he was incredible quick. So I hope for them that he can show this speed here, where he won in the past. I think it was 2022. He won here with Ferrari. I think can be their weekend. We'll see.
They're always managing something, aren't they, at Ferrari? Fred Vasseur said coming into this weekend, if we can actually execute everything that our car has, that'll be a start in terms, back in Canada, it was with the brakes, and then they're managing the ride height for the skid block wear, and then they're managing the power unit. So what they need this weekend with this new set of upgrades, I think, and the team have said this, is to actually deliver everything that they've got here, and then we'll see where really Ferrari are at with the new upgrades on the car.
Yeah, indeed. Well, one team who is delivering at the moment is Williams, currently P5 in the team's standings. Let's hear now from Alex Albon.
Alex, a tough couple of last races, but you've said that this is a track that you think will be well suited to the car. So can you just give us an overview of your thoughts and feelings heading into the weekend?
Yes, I would say optimistic. To be honest with you, Canada should have suited us too, and it looked like it was. It just fell a bit short come Saturday and Sunday. But the vibes are still strong, and I think this weekend does suit our car, Silverstone more so. But we're seeing now the other teams with their upgrades, they are definitely catching up.
Carlos, can you just...
I mean, he has done such a great job this season. Again, so cool about it. And they have got new changes to the car, but they've also had a lot of changes. What's really happening behind the scenes at the Williams team?
Oh, they had a nice run of point-scoring finishes, and now Albon's, who's been the faster of the two throughout this year. A couple of DNFs haven't helped a lot. One last weekend, and then a lot of damage back in Barcelona. They were again struggling a lot with the management of the car with Sainz and Albon. Seemed like they got the cooling set up a little bit wrong as well for Canada. So I think they may be suffering a bit from being one of the first teams to throw in the towel on the 2025 development cycle. And lean into 2026. I asked Alex whether he was totally happy with that. He said he is, but I really would love both to be on the podium. So I think that's where Williams are at.
And also, of course, good news. It was announced that James Vowles has now got a long-standing contract with the team. He's obviously made some big changes. It's paying off, and he is going to be with them for the foreseeable future. Let's have a quick chat about Haas and Racing Bulls, currently equal on points in 6th and 7th. Again, how are they going to reflect on their season so far, and what can they bring coming into Austria?
There's a jar that probably is the surprise of the season. He's delivering every time the performance in qualifying, and his speed is special. He was equal than Tsunoda, or even better at the beginning of the season. It seems that he's improving, so they have a good driver. And Ocon, that was in the point again in Canada. This team maybe is not special in qualifying, but then into the race, usually surprised with the performance managing of tires and strategy. That is not an easy one. So well done to us, because in the race they know what to do.
Yeah. I think Haas are one to watch around here. They've got double points finishes in 2 of the last 3 events held here. Ollie Behrman won the F2 race here last year. He loves this track. I think he said he had his first podium in any car racing around here. There's just something about this track. Maybe it's just not many corners, but Haas seem to come alive around here. So yeah, with Esteban Ocon's experience as well, I'm expecting some big things from them.
Yeah, and then have a quick chat about Aston Martin as well. I mean, the two drivers couldn't be more divergent at the moment. Alonso just seems to be really bringing the car into the performance window at the moment, and it looks set to continue this weekend. Great moment there with the fans earlier today.
I thought it was heroic from Alonso in Canada. He was struggling for information behind the wheel. Again, one to watch this weekend. It's the sort of venue here, you're absolutely right, guys, where the differential between the cars in terms of their performance over what is the shortest lap in terms of time in the season is less than a mistake between a couple of drivers. So if you get somebody wide in those last few corners, there'll be big scalps in the first 2 phases of qualifying, and so we could see Alonso yet again put that Aston Martin up into Q3. I'd like to see that.
It's strange in Aston Martin because it seems while Alonso in the last few races he has the speed and his incredible competitive and performance on the single lap time, Stroll is dropping down the performance. So seems that the updates and upgrades of the car seems that they are working for the champion and probably not for the younger driver. I mean, in the last few races, the level of Stroll drops down while Alonso is coming back to be the lion that we know.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a moment, isn't it? A turning point for Lance Stroll. Obviously, he did have that reoccurring injury to his hand where he missed a race. But time is running out in this championship. Time margins, though, when it comes to the mid-pack. Sauber, in particular, they have a new floor this weekend. Is that going to help them?
Let's see what they could do. I mean, again, it's another opportunity for them. Bortoleto looked strong again, particularly in qualifying last week. I think that they'll try and do something here. They've looked quicker in qualifying in general, where they don't have to manage the ride height too much. Without too many high-speed corners here, the car rotates in the first sector. They might struggle a bit in the final one. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah, well, let's hear from Franco Colapinto and his thoughts ahead of the race weekend.
Hey Franco, stronger weekend last time out in Canada, particularly in qualifying. How are you feeling about the way you're kind of developing with this team, and what have your chats with Flavio kind of enlightened to you about what you kind of need to do going forward?
Good, I think generally I've been feeling better with the car, and that's what we are trying to focus on, you know, just trying to understand our weaknesses, where we need to improve, and get on with that. I think the last couple of weekends have been good to understand what things are suiting me a little bit more, where I need to improve with my driving, where we need to improve with the car, and we've been doing that. It's sometimes a bit tricky to not start the weekend so good, because you kind of keep that momentum going on to Saturday, and Fridays have not been good for me at the moment. Keep, you know, finding things around the weekend and FP3 and then into qualifying, and that has brought me to a good pace by the end, but it's quite late, you know. I would love to bring that earlier. So I think a lot of work behind the scenes to try and understand what I need to do better, what we need to do with the car, and at the end of the day, we've been finding some performance. So just trying to keep that momentum from Montreal, trying to bring these things from there to see if they work, and I'm sure it's gonna be a good weekend. You know, they have been very supportive in the team, even in the moments that it has been a bit tough. They have always held my back, and that's always been very appreciated, and I'm very grateful for it, from Flavio to all engineers and the mechanics. It's been tough at times, but I think we've been going through it very well, and still a lot of things to improve and to learn, but we are on the right way.
Great stuff, thanks Flavio.
Tough at times, but actually feeling quite positive coming into this weekend. Oh, I've just looked behind. It started raining. We were promised some rain at some point, and now it has come. I'm quite glad that we're standing under a sheltered area in the pit lane. There aren't many of these around. But that is actually something that we should discuss at some point, because I think it looks like there'll be rain tomorrow at some point, whether that will affect FP1.
Could easily affect FP1, definitely, but it's a circuit that teams will have loads of data on. Coming back to Alpine, this, I think, is going to be a really difficult weekend for them, because they were 0.4 of a second down only in a straight line in Canada. Power-sensitive circuit here, so I think it could well be a struggle for Franco and team.
Now, it was announced as well that Luca De Meo, the Renault CEO, is stepping down from his position. We've seen so many changes at Alpine over the years. Another massive change. What is the fallout of this going to be, Lawrence?
Well, I think at the minute, Flavio Briatore's kind of been running that operation anyway, so now he's probably lost the guy who's brought him in, which is not ideal. But equally, I think so long as for now, they'll just let Flavio continue to run the team as he was doing at the minute. I don't think we'll see any immediate fallout, you know, on the track side, but I do think going forward over the next 6 months to a year, it will be interesting to see, you know, firstly, what do they do with their new team principal, because they said they want one, and B, who's going to be the new CEO, and what do they think about Formula One?
Fingers crossed, they absolutely love it. Right, now it is time to take a look at the weekend schedule. Put these firmly in your diary. Get your Sharpie, your biro, your ink pen and put these times in, because Friday kicks off tomorrow with FP1 at 1:15. Then a couple of hours later, we'll be heading into practice 2 at 4:45. These are all local track times. Our FP3 show will be starting at 12:15. Then do join us for the pre-qualifying show at 3:30, with qualifying shortly after. And of course, as always, we will be bringing you all the analysis in our post-qualifying show. Then it's the big one. It is, of course, Sunday. We have an hour pre-race build-up, which kicks off at 2 o'clock, followed by the race at 3. And then once again, we will be bringing you all the interviews live post the race in our post-show. Don't miss it. We promise you it is going to be full of action, full of driver interviews, and full of fun too. Guys, we're running out of time here in the weekend warm-up, which means it's prediction time. Who's going to kick things off? Oh, and by the way, I'm adding something to the predictions. We're going to add in some sort of maybe penalty for that who doesn't get the right prediction.
Okay, good for
There
me.
will
I'm
be
a disaster.
more on
right?
this.
I liked the Laura one, didn't you? She was.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not the nice one. Yeah. It'll be like a forfeit of some variety. We were thinking maybe yodeling because we're in Austria. But guys, in the comments, if you want to give me ideas, feel free to suggest some. Yeah. Anyway, so really think about this answer.
So that means I have to go. That means I have to go first.
But which is a good thing. You can go first.
I know from experience that it's not. I am going to say Max Verstappen, home win for Red Bull. The upgrades work brilliantly. And then forfeit of yodeling, I'm going to say that we have Lando Norris bouncing back from Canada ahead of Oscar Piastri.
Ooh, I like it.
I feel Ferrari on podium, so Verstappen, Leclerc, Norris, my top 3. And I cheer for Ferrari, we'll see. Maybe it's the right weekend.
I think it's going to be an Oscar win. I think Max second, Lando third. So I think it's going to be a little bit different. I think there's going to be a different combination of drivers fighting for the sharp ends this year.
You?
I like those kind of
He
predictions.
took the easy one. Your one?
I don't know. I don't want to have to do the forfeit at the end. So I'm just going to, sit on the fence on this one. Anyway, guys, what a show it has been. Make sure you do join us for FP1 tomorrow. I cannot believe it. The rain is here, but hopefully that is going to clear some of the heat away tomorrow. What can we expect? Will Max Verstappen take another win here, or will the McLaren drivers get in the way? Or perhaps Davide's wish will come true and Ferrari will take the win. Join us for all the action tomorrow. See you then.
From beautiful Spielberg, it is time to take on the rapid Red Bull Ring. And the Austrian Grand Prix is underway. Cars absolutely everywhere. It is a capacity crowd here who have been providing a brilliant atmosphere. Elbows out, brawling between the two of them. Wheel to wheel once again. Oh, they make contact. He's got a puncture. Russell into the lead. Norris out of the race. George Russell wins an amazing Grand Prix.
It is not over until it's over.